Hello, beautiful soul. Thanks for stopping by. How many of you felt like you lacked guidance growing up? I know for sure that I did. So I wanted to stop by today to share with you guys 3 keys on breaking generational patterns. Number 1 is finding the time to write and reflect on your past experiences. There are many tools that are out there that you can definitely use. I was blessed to experience the journey of my life was what it was called, and it was just a life map. And basically what it was is it was just a road, and the assignment was to write down the experiences that you had in life that were significant to you, that made an impact on you, and then write down what the experience it was, whether the experience was negative or positive, and how the experience made you feel. I know for me, it was eye-opening, and I very much had to encourage myself to keep going because some of the experiences were negative. So I want to encourage you to not rush the feelings away. Take time to sit with yourself and allow the thoughts, allow the memories, allow the feelings, allow the emotions to come up and embrace them as they come up. Be sure to write down as much details as possible about each experience. And number 2, you can choose to continue on with the exercise, or you can revisit the exercise at another time, because I know sometimes when we do these exercises, a lot of things come up, and not all the time do we have the capacity to handle everything that comes up. I know for me, I had to take the time to include the patterns that I was noticing. There are a lot of experiences that may come up for you, but there were a lot of experiences that came up for me. So I had to look for noticeable patterns and events that occurred and feelings that I recognized were a pattern in each experience. And I had to identify the beliefs and values that were formed as a result of those events. For me, yelling was always a thing in my household, and I know that it made me feel like a little girl, and I know that I did not like that feeling even as an adult, but that didn't stop me from continuing the pattern with my own child. And it wasn't until my child said to me at a very young age, "It makes me sad when you yell at me." And I had to take time to notice the pattern, that I was continuing. I was continuing a generational pattern that was negative, and it was negatively affecting my child. So when you do this experience, make sure you look for noticeable patterns within your journey of life, noticeable feelings that arise during those events and experiences. And when you identify them, make sure that you're writing down an alternative to it. Key number 3 is, once you're able to identify an alternative desire, then you work to get the education and the knowledge that is needed to unlearn the unhealthy patterns, the negative, mindsets and beliefs that you had developed as a result of that experience. And that means reading books. That means listening to audio books. That means doing different exercises. You can actually find out your love language. You can actually find out your stress language. There are so many different tests that you can get to help better understand yourself. I know for me, when my son brought up the fact that it made him sad that I hollered at him, it really hurt. And at first I was offended. And then I'm like, how am I offended about something that I did to somebody else? So it made me go deeper in my self-examination. It made me go deeper in my reflection. Like, I even found myself journaling about how I felt. But after I journaled and I actually processed what I journaled, I recognized that I was traumatized as a kid from the environments that I grew up in, where people were always yelling, whether they were happy, whether they were sad. It didn't matter what the situation was. They were always yelling, and it caused me to be on edge. And unfortunately, I continued that pattern with my son, but now I was faced with an opportunity to change, to break the pattern and change the direction and trajectory of our relationship and our lives. So I researched, healthy means of communication, and I found out that there's assertive communication, there's passive communication, there's aggressive communication. And I grew up in an environment where the communication was always aggressive, whether it was good, bad, or indifference. It was always aggressive. And as I continued to research and as I continued to educate myself, I was able to identify that I suffered from severe social anxiety as a result of growing up in environments where assertive communication was lacking, where aggressive communication was the norm. So I had to do the work that was necessary to unlearn the habit of hollering. And even when I was working extremely hard with it with my son, it was reinforced by my husband, because he would be like, I'm sitting right here, why are you yelling? And I would not even recognize that I was yelling. So through education, through gaining more knowledge, through setting boundaries with myself, like I had to ask my son and my husband to be my accountability partner. When you feel like my level is getting above a 3, like pull my coattail. Like, don't embarrass me, with me. When they brought it to my attention, because I'm like, I used to say, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just talk normal? But I was conditioned. I believed that that was a healthy way of communication. I believed that that's what was normal. I didn't recognize that it was dysfunctional. But once I identified that it was dysfunctional, and once I equipped myself, once I identified that the behavior was dysfunctional, and once I educated myself on an alternative, then I began to practice the alternative. So, in order to break generational patterns, we have to take the time to reflect on our events and experiences, for one. For two, we have to identify the patterns, the beliefs, the values, the mindsets, and the emotions that we see within those events and experiences. And number three, we have to educate ourselves on how to find alternative methods to have healthy living, healthy lifestyles, healthy behaviors, healthy mindsets. And once we do that, then and only then can we truly express ourselves in a way that is impactful in a positive manner. I hope something was said or done that allowed you to be encouraged. And be mindful that this is not a process to be used to point fingers at other people, to place blame on other people. But this process and this experience is so that you can embrace your experiences, and you can take the time to extract the lessons from your experiences, and you can take the time to take the knowledge that you have to put healthy routines into place to ensure that you yourself are not continuing negative patterns or making negative impacts on others. Remember to take the time now to push the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and turn on the notifications so that you could be notified when the next video drops. Love you guys. Be blessed and be well.